It's me, you, we together now. Look at her, strongly unified. By our walk in a life, no shame. Let's talk it out. It's me, you, we together now. Look at her, strongly unified. By our walk in a life, no shame. Let's talk it out. Let's talk it out. Let's talk it out.
Hello, ladies, and welcome to Let's Talk It Out. It is so good to be with you again. We haven't been together since last year, and amen is 2021. And thank God, here we are. It's an opportunity for us to experience new things once again. And I just wanted to talk this time concerning resolutions versus solutions, because I think they differ a bit. And I'm very happy to say to join in this discussion is my daughter, Chrystle Powe Jones. Thank you so much for joining me today, Chrystle. I'm so happy that you made a decision when I asked to say yes. And I'm not really
I thought about saying no, but I was like, nah, that's my mama. I can't do that.
You thought about saying no?
No, I'm just playing. I was going to say yeah the whole time.
Well, I, again, find that there are very fascinating features concerning you and things that I'm discovering concerning you that I guess they were dormant while you were in the house. You do know that happens. Your children act like sometimes they can't do stuff. And then once they get out on their own, they discover all the hidden things that were on the inside of them the whole time. So I just want to talk with you concerning resolutions, solutions. First of all, let me just ask this question. Do you make resolutions at the beginning of a year?
I would say probably I do. I mean, I call it a New Year's resolution, but I think everybody has just different things they want to turn over and maybe do differently or pursue more. And so I may not say these are my New Year's resolutions, but I definitely have goals and things that I set for myself. I evaluate what I did last year, what I want to kind of change, adjust, and things like that. So I don't know if I would call them a New Year's resolution per se, but I do definitely set goals and think about the vision I have for my life in the year to come.
But you know what? You just said several things here that I think we probably need to pull out. You know, of course, you started off and you said, I evaluate. Mm-hmm. I evaluate the previous year and make a decision concerning some things, some goals that you want to set. And that's a good thing. I think that's a wonderful thing to do, because I'm not really sure people actually evaluate the previous year other than the fact that I didn't like something that happened. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to do something about it this year. So tell me, how do you say you evaluate? Tell me, what's your process? What's your process in evaluating? Or you just, like some people, they just looking for something new to do?
So I definitely wouldn't say I'm just looking for something new to do, but I set goals. Like I set really strategic goals when I'm trying to accomplish or do things. And so I go back and I look at what caused me to either reach some of those goals or what maybe caused me to fall short of some of those goals. Mm-hmm. What were things that distracted me? What were things that propelled me forward? So I'm like super goal oriented. Like I like planning stuff out. Mm-hmm. and seeing how I can strategically make a way to achieve things that I'm trying to do. So when I go back and evaluate, I kind of look at each point in each place where, like I said, I either was successful or I fell kind of short, what things boosted me and things like that. And sometimes it's a timing thing. Sometimes I find that, okay, this was a great learning process, but I really need to find out more to be able to be successful in that area. So I maybe need to set it down for a moment and come back to it. So I'm really like nitpicky.
Well, I don't know if I call it nitpicky as much as making a decision to be successful at it and not just deciding, oh, this year I think I'm going to lose some weight. Mm-hmm. And of course, that's the common one that people, they look at their physical body and make a decision. I'm going to be healthier this year. Right. I'm going to, and then they determine healthy means maybe losing weight, or maybe I'm not really sure people know how to get to the goal that they're setting, or let's call it the resolution that they
Right.
have set. And I'm not sure people know how to get there, and that's what you said it so quickly. There were several things. There were several things that you said that you set out, and you actually sit down and evaluate, and you actually look at things that didn't go well and determine why that didn't take place, versus just saying, man, last year I said I was going to lose 40 pounds, and so I didn't. So this year I'm going to set the same goal.
Right. And I think one of the things that I do is I definitely look at, sometimes I didn't accomplish something because I didn't care. Like, I realized I put it as a goal initially, but then as I work towards it, I realized actually I don't really care that much about whatever that is. And so that's the reason. And sometimes people continuously set the same goal and they never achieve that goal because deep down they don't realize they don't actually care. I know for me, my weight fluctuates, and sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I really want to lose this weight. And other times I'm like, Ricky super doesn't care. He always thinks I look good. Why am I trying to lose this weight? For who? For me? Not for me. Not for him. Then for who? So why am I doing this? So I think that's sometimes what happens as well. People don't even really think about the fact that you're trying to do this for other people, and that's why you're not successful, because when it comes down to it, you don't truly care, and if you don't truly care, you're never going to exercise the discipline that's necessary to achieve whatever that said goal is.
See, another point. People make resolutions, and the reason they don't fulfill them is they really don't care. They just kind of threw it out there. And of course, you just mentioned Ricky, and of course, you and I, because we are family. I know who Ricky is, but Ricky happens to be Chrystle's husband.
Yes, I have a whole husband. We'll be married for 7 years this year.
Oh, wow.
We got 2 kids, a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and that's the end of it. There's a girl and there's a boy.
Well, and I'm grateful it helps to make up for the 9 grandchildren that I have.
Right.
And that's, of course, a kind of a funny sidebar for us, because initially I believe you wanted to have 4 children.
So I was willing to have up to 5 kids because Ricky is an only child. He's the only son. And so I was like, I understand that his parents will want somebody to be able to, carry on their family name, the guy, that whole thing. And so I was willing to have up to 5 kids to be able to try to make sure that we could have a boy. But I was like, if by 5, there's no boy, then must not be the Lord's will, because there wouldn't be a 6. So when we were able to have a girl and have a boy, we were like, oh, well, we already did it. So what do we want to do now? We were like, well, kids is a lot of money. They're real expensive. So we was like, well, we'll just go ahead and we'll just stop. That'll be that.
Goal met.
We did it. Check that off the box.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Continue on concerning people with resolutions instead of, and I call it versus solutions, because to me, there is no reason to set a resolution unless you are solving some issue or something that you're trying to obtain. So I think you'll look at it differently, or even go about it differently if you're solving something versus just kind of throwing something out there. As you said, you really don't care. But when you are solving something that needs to be resolved, or you're headed towards a goal, and I'm going towards the fact that you have several YouTube channels. And so it didn't surprise me that you had YouTube channels, but it surprised me what you were doing on your YouTube channels. And so I just want to talk about those for a little bit. I want to talk about, first of all, Myelin My Stilettos. And so tell them how to get to your channel.
So you go to YouTube and you type in Myelin My Stilettos, and I will pop up. You will see a picture of me. So that's how you get there. But yeah, so Myelin My Stilettos, that's a channel where I just do beauty and lifestyle content. And so I'm always doing hair tutorials, and then I also talk about goal setting. I talk about something I call 365 to Destiny, and it's just basically giving people tips for setting goals and achieving, living out the life that God has called them to. And so I just give lifestyle tips and, like I said, hair tutorials. And really, I like doing my own hair. I just love doing my hair. I don't like doing other people's hair, but I like doing my hair. And so I feel like I'm going to be doing my hair, so I might as well record it. And so
Oh,
I'll
okay.
be recording me doing my hair.
Which is another change because when Chrystle was younger, she just really didn't care about.
I didn't like going getting my hair done.
Okay. But
Maybe if I had been doing it myself, it would have been a difference. But
perhaps it would have been.
I would hide in the closet and everything to try to avoid hair appointments. Like my mom wouldn't find me in the closet. Like, I don't know what my thought process was behind that, but it didn't work. She always found me
Of course.
in the closet
I
every
was
time.
I was concerned about how you look. But I remember you're doing Myelin My Stilettos, but that idea did not happen in just the recent past. You thought about a Myelin My Stilettos years ago, over 7 years ago.
Yeah, probably at least 9 or 10 years ago. At least, yeah.
Yeah, I remember your dad set up things in your room so that you could start recording, and you did a few, but I found it really interesting when I saw the channel pop up that you'd gone back to it. So obviously that was something that you had in your heart to do.
Yeah.
And I guess at this time you felt like this was the timing.
And I think it's kind of like I said before with just like evaluating things like, okay, do I need to learn a little bit more to be able to do this? And I feel like in that time from when I first started up until now, I've learned a lot more concerning how to not only do YouTube, but do it successfully, what I wanted that channel to look like, what I wanted it to represent, how I wanted to represent myself in that channel. And so I learned a lot. I learned a lot between now and then. And so I was able to do it now much more successfully than I had in the past.
Oh, okay. So this another point that I believe that you're making is the fact that sometimes when you make a New Year's resolution, you do not investigate enough to be able to accomplish the task.
Right. You underestimate how much work, time, energy is going to come into it, because a lot of times when people make resolutions, New Year's resolutions, they're not thinking about what's already on their plate that they have to do. They're thinking about just the new thing that they want to see. So like you said, a lot of times people want to lose weight. Well, that may require having time to go to the gym or exercise at least 30 minutes to an hour, at least I'm going to say 3 or 4 times a week. So you have to find that time in your schedule. If your schedule is already tight, what are you going to shift to be able to do that, accommodate that? Eating healthy costs way more money than it does to just, grab the little 4 for $4 at the Wendy's. So you have to think about, okay, how can my budget accommodate me making these adjustments in my eating habits? Maybe you have to cut out how you're spending money somewhere else. And so a lot of times, like I said, people think of these things they want to do, but they're not thinking about the other adjustments that are going to have to take place to bring about the solution that they're actually looking to see in their life.
And that makes a lot of sense because sometimes, just the other day I actually was thinking, how does Chrystle get all this done? Because you do have the 2 children, you have a husband, you have a job, and I know you like to travel. There are a lot of things that you like to do. But obviously, you've made the decisions to what needs to be cut out, and I also what's really important.
Yeah, I went to a conference one time, and this lady, she was talking, and she was like, everybody in life is juggling balls. She was like, you got things, you're juggling balls. She says some balls are rubber and some of them are glass. She was like, the rubber balls are going to bounce back up. Just don't drop the glass ones.
Oh, wow.
And so she was like, your family, your children, like your relationship with God, those are glass balls. You don't want to drop them. Now, some other things, maybe you like skateboarding on the weekends. I don't know. But some other things that may not hold as much weight, or even in my case, being able to do the YouTube channel. At first, I wasn't able to really do it. And so that was a rubber ball. And so it took years later for it to bounce back up, but it's back. And so you have to really be able to determine and evaluate what things in my life are glass and what things are rubber that will be able to bounce back. And so that's a lot of how I manage what I'm doing.
Oh, wow. That, you know what? That's good. That's good. I hope you all keep that in, wrote that down, jot that down, because that is important. It's a wonderful example too, because it'll help people hopefully help people start to evaluate exactly what is important to them, and as you said before, evaluate the time necessary or the resources necessary to bring this about. And you're right, because I did want to talk about, what are the things that keep people from making these adjustments. And I think also sometimes people, when they see, let's say, not necessarily a distraction, but if they see that it's going to take more than what they anticipated, they sometimes will drop it. But you see it, and I think it's good. Maybe you really just didn't care as much as what you thought you cared.
Right. And so I think that's really huge, because like you said, I do a lot. And you're like, oh, Chrystle, how are you doing all this stuff? So one, I don't write it down. And I know like people that are like super planner people are like, what? Right now. But if I wrote everything down that I do, like I would probably just go sit in a corner and cry. Like my whole brain would like just start melting. So I don't write it down. It's weird, but that's the way God worked with me. I'd be like, God, if it's important, bring it to my remembrance. And he ain't failed me yet. So I don't be writing stuff down. I don't write a ton of stuff down. But at the same time, like there are nights where I'm up really late working on something, or up really early in the morning working on something. But that goes into, okay, how much do I want this? And not even how much do I want this, how important do I feel like this is in the larger scope of what I feel like God is calling me to do. And so even, I know sometimes people are like, Chrystle, what you're doing seems super random, but I see this web of connectivity in my mind that all points back to the life that I feel like God is calling me to. And so if I know that I can see the correlation between what I'm doing and what I believe God is calling me to, it becomes a glass ball. It becomes something that can't be dropped, because I know it's not something I'm just doing for me. It's something that I'm doing that pertains to how God wants me to be representing him in the earth. And then how can I not stay up that extra hour later or get up that extra hour earlier when I know this is something that I'm doing that could cause someone to come in contact with who God wants them to see.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense, because you do have to have purpose behind whatever you're doing, a real purpose, let's put it that way, not something that's shallow, is just, but, and let me just ask you this. I know most people make resolutions like at the beginning of the year. Do you think it's possible to make a resolution some other time during the year?
No, of course not. Yeah, of course. Like at any point in time, you can reevaluate what's going on in your life and make adjustments accordingly. Because again, like I said, resolutions versus solutions, you can take any point in time to say, okay, you know what? I need a new solution for this. Or something may come up in your life in the middle of the year that you need a solution for. And it's going to cause you to need to change and adjust the way you're doing things. And so there's any point in time where you can say, hey, let me make a change. I know at my birthday, that's another time where I'm looking back like, okay, what happened in this year of life? I'm 33. So this is my year of ascension, and I will ascend. So I know I'm going to be looking back like, okay, so what did I do? Did I really ascend? What are some areas where I could be leveling up? So I think that's another great time for people to just look at what did you do in this year of life that God gave you. So at any time, you can really sit and say, okay, let me evaluate some things. When major changes happen, maybe you got a new job, you lost a job, you moved somewhere. These are all great times to be able to really evaluate things.
Okay. So that should help the person who's, I guess, dogmatic about do or die. I don't care about what else is going on around me. I made this decision. and I don't want to fail at the decision that I made. They see not accomplishing something as failure, when in actuality, it actually could just be an adjustment to what is going on or what's happening in your life versus, I guess, judging yourself. I was actually just reading in the Bible, in the book of Proverbs, where it talks about men and their plans. That is something that we do. We plan out things, but God said, would allow me, to make the adjustments or show you how to get to that place or walk you through that place in your life. And a lot of times there are people who, I guess, I look at them, I say, they're real strategic in everything they do. Of course, you just said, I don't write down a lot of things, but there are some people, they write down absolutely everything, step by step by step. And in doing so, sometimes they don't allow themselves the freedom to make an adjustment, to even make a resolution work in their life. Because if you are involved with other people, like you said, if you have a family, you have to consider that family as well when you make a decision, so that you can come up, I say, with a proper solution to what you're trying to accomplish. And I'm not really sure if people even sometimes know what they're trying to accomplish.
A lot of times people don't know. They super don't know. They don't know what they want. They don't know what they're trying to accomplish. They don't know. And I don't know if it's because of my public relations background, but I'm always thinking about, what do you want people to see or experience on the other side of this? What are you trying to see or experience on the other side of this? I think that's really important, and I think people don't know. They don't have the answer to that question. So you want to accomplish X goal, and then what? What happens on the other side of that? And they don't know the answer to that. And I think that's something that gets people a little lost. And then, like you were just saying, like, people are sometimes really dogmatic. And I think sometimes that doesn't leave room for God to enter into their plan. And I remember when women's conference a little bit ago, you talked about course corrections and allowing God to make a course correction. And I think if people stop seeing failure as failure and started just seeing it as a course correction, because, I mean, it's not over. Your life's not over. The whole thing's not over. It's just a course correction.
Right.
And so I think I started looking at life more like that. If it didn't go the way that I thought it would, okay, it's just a course correction. And there's nothing wrong with a course correction. If anything, that's helpful. And it's me being open to always giving God room in the plans that I'm making, because he knows better than I know what needs to happen in my life.
And that is very true. And you've said several times talked about destiny. And so you wrote a book.
I did.
And the title of your book is?
Identity, Purpose, and the Pursuit of Destiny.
I love that. I bought the book and I read it. In your book, you have blank pages or lines where people can not just read the book, but start making some adjustments or start evaluating. I guess that may be a better way. Start evaluating what they believe their destiny is. And so you wrote that book for what purpose?
I would say for a couple reasons. So the subtitle, I guess you could say, is identity is who you are. Purpose is why you are. Destiny is when the two collide. And so I think it's really important for people to understand who they are, the understanding and the root of who God created them to be in this earth. And then again, purpose, why you are. It's important for you to know why you are here. Because if you don't know why you are here, it's going to be hard to live that out. And so something that's just I'm really passionate about is people living in destiny. I say if there's a tagline for my life, it would be, don't just live life, pursue destiny. I don't like when people seem like they're living a life that they are not excited about. There should be something exciting that you can wake up and live out every single day, because I feel like God is an exciting God. And he, like, look at Jesus when he was walking there. He was doing all kind of exciting stuff. Like, you should be able to be exciting and do exciting things. And that's really the passion and the heart behind writing the book, just wanting people to be able to live a fulfilled life that brings them excitement, that brings them joy, that causes them to never have a dull moment because they're constantly pursuing all that God desires for them to be.
Oh, wow. That's really great. Well, could you share with us how they can get your book?
If you go on Amazon and type in Identity, Purpose, and the Pursuit of Destiny, or my name, Chrystle Jones, spelled correctly, the book will pop up.
Oh, okay. And the correct spelling of your name is?
Chrystle, no A, thanks to my mother.
I did ask you once, were you upset about the way I spelled your name?
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's fun. I think it sets me apart. It's like, people are like, oh, that's different. Okay. But I've been called Chrysler a couple times.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't think about that. I thought about all the other things. I was like, I don't want to. Initially, your dad and I were like, oh, let's name her Chrystle. And then we had Chris, and I thought, we don't want Chrystle and Chris, but he kept saying, no, no, no. So I said, well, if we're going to name her Chrystle, I'm going to spell it differently.
Right.
So that's how you ended up with the
But I
different
like
spelling.
it. I think it's fun.
Well, you're a fun person, but also you do help people sometimes concerning getting to their destiny. And
Yes.
how do you do that?
So one of the businesses that I also have is Crystal Clear Solutions. And so I do help people understand a better grasp of what they believe they're called to do. And sometimes people just need a hand to walk them alongside, to help figure out how to do that. And then especially I help people that are not able to understand how they can really monetize what it is they believe they're called to do. So I help them think of untraditional means for being able to find a way to live off of what it is they're created to do. But I believe if God gave you a gift, that he's going to make sure that you're able to be fruitful based on that gift that he gave you. So I help them think of solutions and think of ways to be able to not only live a life of purpose and value, but make sure that they're able to live off of that life.
Oh, wow. That's excellent. I believe that's one of the qualities that your father had that showed up in you later on, showed up in you. And I think I believe that it's quite awesome. And how you're so directed in what you do. Again, giving solutions and not just a resolution, not just something I'm throwing out there, but something worth pursuing. And I believe that is something when we talk about at the beginning of the year, or whether it's a new year, calendar year, or at the beginning of your birth year, that we do evaluate those things, which means that it means a look back into some things and not getting upset. I'm glad that you brought that out, not getting upset over the fact that some things didn't pan out the way you desired for them to, but understanding that perhaps it just needs a course correction, need another trajectory, because God does have a purpose for our lives. And if we're not pursuing the purpose for our lives, I'm not really sure at the end of the day if it means anything to you, even if you obtain the goal that you set. And so another point that you just brought out is if you're going to set goals, if you're going to, as we call it, quote unquote, set a resolution, make sure that it is something that's going to push you towards your purpose more so than just an activity, or just something to do, whether that is, like you said, maybe starting a company, whatever it is, it might be. And I think that's pretty awesome to be that involved in people and their destinies and their goals. So you told me, I said, Chrystle, how did all this come about? Because of course I'm discovering so many new things since you got married. So much stuff is kind of jumping and coming out of you. And and you told me, well, Mom, I got an education. And I said, oh, praise God, the money paid off.
Right.
But it would not have paid off unless you were pursuing a purpose in your life, if it wasn't helping you to gain the knowledge that was necessary or the tools that were necessary for you to live out this life. We had a conference once that said, live out loud. And that's what I hear you saying, that if you're going to make a resolution, or if you are looking for a solution, that it should cause you to live out loud. It should cause you to, live your best life ever.
Right.
So I appreciate you joining with me. I certainly hope that people got something. Ladies, I hope you got something out of what Chrystle had to say. I still get things out of what Chrystle has to say. She's a great encourager, and as you can see, has lots of energy. Lots of energy. I don't know how you could not laugh or be full of joy. And of course, I'm not saying it just because it's my daughter. Yes and no, but it's true concerning her. It's true concerning her. And again, you can go to either of her YouTube channels and hear more about destiny. You can get her book that will help you to start on your destiny, pursuing life with purpose in mind. And I believe that's what God wants us to do. And so I'm very, very excited that you decided to join us. Again, we'll be back to talk things out, and perhaps it will be you that will join me to talk things out so we can just grow from one another, so that we can be encouraged one another, so we can stir one another up, so that we'll all end up in the destiny that God has determined for us. So thank you again for joining us. And of course, as always, you be blessed.